Welcome to the 3 Knockdown Rule. Starring Mario Lopez and Steve Kim. Presented by Hustler Casino.
Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to our show on YouTube. It's fun. It's funny. I break this guy's balls. His wig looks crazy every week, but it's still worth doing it. Check out these badass shirts we got right now. Check it out.
Even though Mario's on it, you'll still learn something, and it's still some insightful analysis. And then I bring the funny, and I don't know what he brings.
No.
What are you talking about? I'm the star of the show here.
You bring the grumpy.
Oh, but the grumpy. Anyway, like and subscribe.
Yes,
3
please.
Knockdown
We
Rule.
appreciate you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 Knockdown Rule brought to you by Hustler Casino is in effect. I'm Steve Kim, joined by Mario back-to-back Lopez.
Hey, peep the shirt. Thank you, Kim, even though you were being a dick right now, but more on that later. Shout out. Frazier can vouch for that. Spoken to Frazier on the ones and twos.
The bout sheet for this week's show, Ortiz Lubin preview, and it's No Tanks versus Jake Paul, news and notes, and final flurries.
Listen, if you're looking for a legit GLP-1 provider, here's everything you need to know, from pricing to the best place to get it. Most providers charge outrageous membership fees or make you pay up front, or they hike it up every month. LifeRx skips all the nonsense. It's just $250 a month flat. Price never goes up, no matter your dosage. No surprise fees, no insurance, no trips to the pharmacy, delivered right to your door. Bam. So tap below if you want to check them out. And don't forget, tell them Mario sent you. And don't be a dick like Kim.
And this podcast is brought to you by Hustler Casino, the ultimate spot for high-stakes thrills and luxury chills in Los Angeles. Ready to turn your poker face into a six-figure payday. The $100,000 super jackpot is waiting for you. And here's the kicker. Every Monday, the qualifying hands change, so your odds get way more exciting. Visit now and play your way to $100,000K only at Hustler Casino.
Round 1.
All right, we begin round number 1. Get your pants on, because we're going to the Dickies Arena on the zone.
That's really the name.
The Dickies Arena.
Like what all the cholos wear, the Dickies.
Orale, yeah.
All right, that's tight.
So we finally have a fight on the zone, and guess what? It's not going to cost you an extra $60, and it's a quality fight. WBC interim junior featherweight champion of the world is Vergil Ortiz at 154. Your full-time
Not
champion
buddy, not
of junior
middleweight.
middleweight. And Erickson Lubin is his opponent. Number 1 versus 5 in the Ring Magazine rankings. Quality matchup.
Quality matchup, and like you just mentioned, not costing us extra dollars. Nice way to close out the year. I think Ortiz has been on the right track for a while now. I think if he's able to have an impressive performance against a really talented, tough customer, by the way, this is not an easy walk in the park by any means. And Lubin is a live dog, but I really like the way Ortiz has been locked in. And should he look impressive, then I think the chance will grow louder for him versus Boots or any of the champions in the division.
We'll get into that later. Vergil Ortiz, 23 and 0-21 knockouts. We know what he is. Boxer, puncher, brings a lot of heat, steady pressure, lets his hands go. But Mario, it is in my estimation that Erickson Lubin, sleek southpaw with above average power, he is going to be a stylistic nightmare for Vergil Ortiz.
I agree. That's why some people actually are picking Lubin to win. I think Ortiz, though, the way he's able to sort of overwhelm you with punches, and if he's able to establish that pace early on like he usually does, will throw Lubin a little off his game, or Lubin might be slick and catch him with something, if he walks him into something. So it's interesting. The first 3 rounds, I think, are going to tell a lot. But I think he's been the not only the more active fighter, he's just a naturally stronger kid. The power will make a difference. So I like to see, I think he will end up victorious. But again, how good will he look? If he doesn't look that impressive, will it maybe lure other opponents to want to get in there with him? We'll see.
Erickson Lubin, his 2 losses, Jermel Charlo and then Sebastian Fundora. Against Charlo, it was a right hand that was kind of awkward that he never saw. Probably took that fight a little bit too early. Now, the Fundora fight was interesting. He had moments early, then he started getting hit, and then all of a sudden, his face started to look like Martin Lawrence when Tommy Hearns hit him in that classic episode. I've never seen swelling quite like that in a long time, but that was about, 3 years ago? That was in 2022. Lubin is the type of guy, I think he realizes these chances are not promised forever. It's not like you get 10 bites at the apple. This could be the third strike. I think he's going to fight very well early. I think he's going to be up 3-1, maybe 4-1 after 5. But I get the sense that Vergil Ortiz, that steady pressure and the steady heat and the two-handed attack that he's going to bring, he will surge in the second half in the late championship rounds. I like Ortiz to win this fight.
Yeah, I agree with you for the same reasons. And I think Ortiz, by his standards, one of his more impressive years. And I think 26 could be really huge, both financially and for his star power.
If you take a look at the ledger, it's really interesting. Vergil Ortiz has probably the best resume of any fighter that has never won a belt.
Right.
And if you just
That's
look,
the irony.
and you take a look at, let's say, the last 12 to 16 months, if he wins on Saturday, that would mean victories over Sergey Bohachuk, when that still meant a lot, Israel Madrimov, who in my estimation gave Terrence Crawford one of his 2 or 3 toughest battles throughout his career, and then Lubin. All of those guys are rated or were rated in recent times in the top 10 at 154 by Ring Magazine. So let's take a look at this scenario, Mario, as you mentioned. Should Ortiz somehow get past Lubin, any way, any fashion? Everyone's talking about Boots Ennis. That's the natural fight. But keep this in mind. The full-blown WBC champion at 154 is Fundura. Now, Golden Boy and Matchroom have talked a lot about the Boots Ennis fight. But I just wonder, if there's an issue, and let's say it was your choice, what would you rather see as a fan? Ortiz against Fundura or Boots?
As a fan, I'd rather see Boots. And as a promoter, I hesitate because if you're going to fight Boots, I think you want him right away.
Yeah.
I don't want him to acclimate to the weight too much. And I think the more he goes and gets comfortable with it, he becomes more dangerous. But Fundura's a dangerous cat in and of itself just because
the size,
the dimensions in which he brings it inside the ring. So both obviously tough outs, but I think financially Boots' fight would make a lot more sense too. So I would probably go Boots next right away, both as a fan and as a promoter. Now, them out of the equation, I know just politically it won't happen and they won't do it, but I would love to build up to that Boots fight, him fight in Puerto Rico, and I think he can go to Puerto Rico, and I think he would
Xander Zayas
and be very impressive in an outing versus a Xander Zayas. And should he claim that belt, and then let's say Boots were to fight like Fundura, maybe then it would be even a bigger. It would be, but you know what they say about best laid plans
of mice and men. And as for Xander Zayas, I am being told he'll fight at the early part of 2026 as Top Rank eventually unveils their next television platform deals. And keep this in mind: politics is a part of boxing. When you take a look at Matchroom and Golden Boy, they both fight under the Zone umbrella.
Right. That's a fight that can be made
pretty easily, you would think, in theory. While Fundura is with the PBC, and they're going to say, well, wait a minute. We need to have this fight on Amazon Prime. So, again, you're dealing with the same thing about platform and network battles and rivalries and alliances. But Vergil Ortiz, I don't think is going to overlook this fight. Erickson Lubin, if you go all the way back, I think about 7-8 years ago, he was touted as the best USA boxing fighter. In fact, they were very upset, that organization, when he signed with Mike Tyson Promotions and did not try to go for the Olympics that particular year. Now, he is a guy that had a really big amateur career, very highly touted. He's certainly well-skilled, but he's going to be a desperate fighter. So I don't think there's any chance that Vergil Ortiz overlooks this. Because sometimes the bigger fight is the one actually that gets you to the big fight.
And he hasn't shown that in his career. He trains hard and he comes well prepared to the ring and respects all of his opponents. Yeah, so that's why, listen, I think he's a very much a live dog. Should he look good doing this, and even if he doesn't, as long as he's victorious, I think there's some good fights, big fights ahead.
Also from Fort Worth, Texas, on this Golden Boy card, maybe the best young American heavyweight, the Rocket Joshua Edwards, along with prospects Eric Priest, Amari Jones, and Darius Fulgham are on this card. And we come back more of the 3 Knockdown Rule, brought to you by Hustler Casino.
Catch it streaming live right on YouTube.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
$1.2 million.
And I'm losing in this fucking game. What the fuck?
This is a 400K flip. If I win by way, you get 10 grand.
Fucking straddle for my fans. Why? I ran it twice. Wow. All in a call. I'm not fucking leaving.
Raise it up.
News and notes.
And we're back on the 3 Knockdown Rule, brought to you by Hustler Casino. We move on to news and notes. A lot of stuff going on outside the ring. And Mario, the big story that was dominating the news cycle late last week, it was death, taxes, and Tank Davis having domestic issues before a high-profile event. He's been named in a civil suit over some stuff that happened with the VIP waitress at the world-famous Tootsie's in Miami. Real arduous training camp there, huh? And now, as reports have unfolded, it looks like that event scheduled for November 14th is being moved to December with a whole new opponent for Jake Paul.
You know me, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Is there really, is that the real issue, or the lack of ticket sales and interest of this circus?
Well, the suit has been filed. There is proof.
Okay.
There is a civil suit.
So both things can be true.
Yeah, and I believe that MVP Promotions, which put out a statement saying, hey, well, wait a minute, we can't do this. Well, I have a question. If tickets were sold out and this thing had a lot of buzz, I wonder, are you so moral at that point? It has crossed my mind.
Well, that's the thing. Look, you know how I felt about this fight in the beginning. I'm all about big events, but this circus just didn't ever need to happen because of the size disparity. I hope Tank figures this stuff out. I've always liked Tank, and I'd like to see him get back in there in the mix with a Lamont Roach in the weight class he's supposed to be. With that said, entertaining the Jake Paul potential opponent, you've heard names. At first it was Ryan Garcia, and then De La Hoya quickly put a kibosh to that because he said, we have a deal with the zone. We have to honor that. You just can't be going off the handle. And he said he might go on social media and start saying stuff, but we have to honor our contracts. We're adults here, and this is how business is conducted. Got it. Great. And then you're hearing some names like Edgar Berlanga, which I actually really liked. You didn't. That interests me, because if Jake Paul wants to be taken serious, then he needs to fight someone who's a somewhat serious fighter, right? He's a serious fighter. He fought in championship level.
He's legitimate.
He's very legitimate, and he's a little more his size. Still smaller, by the way. Still a weight class or two smaller, but a little more his size. And I'm sure when he doesn't have to cut to make like heavyweight, he'd be a justified cruiserweight. And I actually like that fight. Both guys with crazy personalities. Loud. One lives in Puerto Rico. One is Puerto Rican. I think it would create some buzz. I think it would do well. I really like that fight. I don't know how realistic it is to happen, but I do like that fight. Then I started hearing names like Nate Diaz, which I love me some Nate Diaz, but we've been there, done that. We don't need to see that again. Then the latest name was Francis Ngannou,
who was insulted by the offer, by the way. He said, wait, why am I being mentioned? He came out on interview and said, hey, come on. What are we doing here? Like, he felt, it wasn't even about the money. He felt as though he was being treated as a non-serious entity, that if he's being mentioned for Jake Paul. I kind of like that stance that he took.
I like that stance, but I bet you he'd like the money that's probably being offered a little more, wouldn't you?
Yeah, given the fact that he took on Anthony Joshua for a lot of money, and then he actually fought very well against Tyson Fury.
Right.
I found it interesting that Nate Diaz and Ngannou were mentioned, and I'm thinking, okay, when are we offering Tank Abbott and Tito Ortiz?
Right.
I mean, come on, man. Like,
I'm telling you, the Edgar Berlanga one makes the most sense. If you really want to be taken serious, let's see what you got right there.
Mario, I know Miami fairly well. I've gone there more than a few times. I know the way the city is. There's a lot of entertainment options. But were you surprised how the tickets were not selling for this event, given the fact Jake Paul has a following? And Tank Davis is one of the better ticket sellers in America when it comes to professional boxing.
Jake Paul's following skews very, very young. And the thing about Tank Davis is how I've said from the beginning, yes, I think people have a couple things. There's a bad taste left in their mouth because of the way the Lamont Roach fight was left, and he didn't honor his commitment to seek revenge in that rematch. Had he done that, maybe been victorious, even if he wasn't, then I think there'd be a little more respect. But honestly, it comes down to the size disparity. As soon as they did that face-off and it looked like a cartoon with the little guy and the big guy, it wasn't even a happy David and Goliath. It was embarrassing. So I think that this is sort of a blessing in disguise. I really hope it's like an Edgar Berlanga. Pardon me, I don't know why I keep calling him Edward. An Edgar Berlanga. Or if Ngannou decides to come to his senses, then maybe you can put him out of his misery.
Mike Coppinger actually mentioned that Andre Ward, of all people, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, you take on Andre Ward, I will give him respect, 'cause even to this day, because I know Andre stays in shape, I know he stays in,
and he hasn't been in the ring for what? I love that.
I would actually, because I know Andre Ward does not want to be embarrassed. I believe that he would think, hey, I'm sticking up for the honor of boxing, and I want to show this phony a little something about the sweet science. Believe it or not, I don't actually completely hate that idea.
I love that idea, Wood. Well, I don't think Jake would ever do it, though.
I wouldn't do it, because it would end the charade.
Yeah, exactly.
It would
That's what I'm saying.
absolutely end that charade.
Of course.
Moving on. Speaking of the aforementioned King Ryan Garcia, various entities, including Ring Magazine with my old buddy Mike Coppinger, is reporting that they are now quote-unquote close, as WBC welterweight champion of the world Mario Barrios could be taking on Ryan Garcia. Now, let me lay this out. Ryan Garcia, in his last bout, lost 10-11 rounds and knocked on his ass by Rolly Romero. How in the world is he even in line for a title shot?
Props to Golden Boy for navigating that and being able to finagle a title shot right away. How can Ryan needs to sort of praise them at the altar?
Oh, I'm sure he's going to be very grateful to Golden Boy and Oscar.
Well, he should be.
Yeah, I'm glad you got that there, Tim.
But I'm saying he should be, because it is sort of absurd considering his last performance. Theoretically, he should start sort of working his way back up. But let me tell you, this is sort of the last stop as far as immediate title shots next. It's like if he loses this, he's going to go up against the IBF holder, right? So he said he didn't train as hard as last time, which didn't make any sense because it was a year. He was off for a year. Mario Barrios, I don't think is to be taken lightly. If it comes to fruition, it gets very interesting. And I don't know what to say other than I'd like to see it.
I give Mario Barrios and his management a lot of credit. I mean, and again, it's because he is vulnerable. We're not exactly talking about Donald Curry in 1985. We're not exactly talking about Ray Leonard or a guy. We're not even talking about Vernon Forrest. But the reality is, in his last two fights, because of his own vulnerability, that's his greatest marketability, because he got Manny Pacquiao, held him to a draw in a fight that, quite frankly, most people thought the senator from the Philippines won that fight.
Right.
And Ryan Garcia now represents a big payday. But this is, again, where, boxing does not take itself seriously, and we always say the belts matter. And so it's been good for Mario Barrios.
Yeah.
But I checked the ratings last night online. There's a website called Boxing Rankings. They have a good little layout, and they give you all the sanctioning bodies and their rankings and the ring rankings on top. And it's from Box Live. So shout out to them. They're a great tool. As of October 22nd, do you know Ryan Garcia is not in the top 15 of the WBC? That's October 22nd. I'm sure right now he's probably sitting mysteriously at number 4. So here's my question. What has he done since the first week of May to now to get rated at 147? I mean, is this boxing's version of pretty privilege?
It's posted. He's posted. That's what he's done. He's posted on social. And look, it's a business at the end of the day, right? So if your name still carries some value
But at what point do we have the sport of boxing? And I get it. I'm not looking for the sanctity of the business.
No,
I know what this is. But Ryan Garcia is probably about as undeserving as a title challenger in the last 2-3 years that I can recall.
Well, the morality plays a role now here.
There is no morality
here. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's just sort of, look, if he wasn't as popular, even though I think that's sort of kind of taken a hit this last year, then obviously wouldn't be getting this shot. But I think this is it, right? Because if he were to not be victorious here, at least at this level for a while, at this point, then he would have to legitimately work his way up. Don't you think?
No, there's no doubt. And keep this in mind. This is an old axiom that I learned from the late, great Jay Larkin. He used to run Showtime Sports. The man taught me a lot about the whole industry. And he said, Steve, you got to understand one thing. I was very young in this business. He said, you got to understand one thing about this. And I go, what's that? He goes, boxing is business dressed up as a sport. And the reality is, this is business. It'll do more business for Mario Barrios, PBC, and Golden Boy than perhaps any other fight outside of maybe a Pacquiao rematch, which for whatever reason is not being mentioned. But the bottom line is, I think it's going to happen, and you're right. This is Ryan Garcia down to his last strike. until he gets his next strike, because I am a realist. Also, real quickly here, Michaela Mayer won last Friday, and she adds another welterweight belt to her title. Congratulations to Miss Mayer.
Congratulations.
Also, hey, folks, are you looking to get involved with 3 Knockdown Rule and sponsor our show? We have some spots available. Please email us at info@boxbid.io. Once again, that's info@boxbid.io. Boxbid is an online platform that helps boxers connect with their fans by providing exclusive Fight Week merchandise, memorabilia, and sponsorships. You can even buy a shout-out on boxbid.io, which handles our sponsorships, and we are proudly working with boxbid.io. Okay, moving on with the Ask Mario segment of the 3 Knockdown Rule. Here's a question from Ahmed Boxing. Is Eddie Hearn not doing a good job with some of his male boxers? Boots Ennis just fought in a mismatch against Lima. Opataya can't seem to get a big fight or unification since beating Breedis, with another IBF Mando next. AJ Anthony Joshua still hasn't fought Fury or Wilder.
I don't know if you can blame necessarily the promoters. Every time I do speak with them, it's the fighters who don't want to be as active.
Or the whole business.
Right.
The whole atmosphere of it. Because here's the reality. Fury or Wilder, I think they've tried to make the fight, and Wilder was offered, and they get counter offers. They negotiate through the media. That was one of those situations where the PBC was not going to do business with Eddie Hearn. Bottom line, I don't even blame Eddie. Mm-hmm. As it relates to Boots Ennis, if you do not make another unification bout, and I don't even mean it has to be against Ortiz, because maybe Ortiz and his people say, you know what, we're going to go with Fundura. Then at that point, if Boots fights Murtala Zayev or maybe a Fundura, then I'm like, that's a good fight.
Right.
You're all good. Now, Opataya, here's the problem. I believe that they would not hesitate to fight Zurdo. Mm-hmm. Here's the problem with Zurdo. Just went through surgery, and what did Eric Gomez tell you?
He'll be out for about till
he also said
year.
David Benavidez.
That's well, yes.
And so that's the other thing. So I'm kind of looking at this saying, look, do I think that every promoter is perfect? No. But the issue is with Matchroom, in my view, is as an American fighter, can you get the same service being with a promoter that's based in England, where the large majority of their business is in the UK?
You got to be close to the action.
Yeah.
You got to stay where the fire is happening.
And talking about the atmosphere of the business, in 2018, when the zone began, there was a thing called Matchroom USA. Mm-hmm. In fact, they had a big office. They're paying all that fancy rent. That's been shuttered. So the money and the dates that have been allocated for Matchroom and Eddie Hearn to do shows in the States, I think, are down to two things. Bam, Boots, and maybe Diego Pacheco, and I guess they're going to do a show in early December.
Did you ever see that documentary about Eddie and his dad?
No. Is it any good?
I hadn't seen it. We might have to check it out.
Yeah, who?
I think it's on Netflix.
Netflix.
I believe it's on Netflix.
It's a series.
Yeah, it's a doc series. I think like 6 episodes or something.
Yeah, I'm sure Dana White watched it and enjoyed it. Anyway, here's one from Carlos Ortiz.
Hey, at least I got a response.
What fights in the last 10 years deserves a Legendary Nights type of program?
That's a good question.
To me, Canelo versus Golovkin trilogy. Agreed. That's one off the bat.
Great. Love that.
I've done a list.
I love that.
Vasquez Marquez 3. The first 3 fights.
With the whole trilogy.
And I know that was on Showtime, but we're just talking about general fights.
Sure.
Chocolatito against Estrada, or the whole those 4 little kings. Estrada, Chocolatito, Cuadras, Sirkatsetso Rungvisai. I think that deserves a series.
Fury Wilder would be fun.
Yes, that whole series.
That'd be good with those guys.
Legendary Nights. I wish the series would have kept going. One thing that I wish they would have done, because I still think it's tied into American history as something that we'll never forget, and me and Doug covered all 3 legs of it, but this is the one that really stood out. September 29, 2001, Hopkins, Trinidad, in the wake of 9/11, and you can still see the smoldering buildings that came crashing
in
down.
talking to Lampley, who was one of the producers, but he said the most poignant one was Chavez Taylor.
It was Chavez Taylor,
and it did the best too.
It
right?
did.
That was a great one. That really showed you to the stark contrast, not just in cultures, in fighters, but in the direction that their careers took and life afterwards.
Crawford versus Spence, the lead up and the whole story and what it meant to Crawford's career, I believe would be worthy of a documentary.
Yeah, but Spence already was in the accident. It was already, I think there was too much. Had that not happened prior, listen, I don't know if we're talking about it later on, but you mentioned like when fights shouldn't, or we're discussing about fights you wish it would happen a little bit earlier. And you mentioned the Barrios-Pacquiao rematch. Please tell me there's no rumors to the Pacquiao-Mayweather rematch too, because all the memes I've been sending you, I said this has got to be. This is not real talk, is it?
Oh, I think it's real. I think there's some reality to it. Now, I do believe that Pacquiao could also be involved in another fight, more of an exhibition against Vasyl Lomachenko. What do you think about that?
I don't like it. I don't like.
Oh,
those
now
fights.
you're anti-circus. What?
No,
what
I'm not anti. No, I'm not anti-circus.
He's not anti-circus. He's anti-freak show.
No, I'm not. No, I'm anti seeing an older statesman getting beat up right now. Now I'm anti like Pacquiao's. I don't want to see him get hurt. That's the only thing. Yeah, I'm all about the circus, but with some young guys. I don't want to see the old guy. You want to see Pacquiao hurt, bro?
Not really. I don't want to.
What a dick! We started off the show you being a dick, and you were ending it.
I didn't want to see Pacquiao against Barrios.
I didn't either.
I didn't want to see him after Thurman. I thought that was the perfect ending.
Perfect ending, exactly.
But they had to ruin it because that's what they do. It is boxing.
That's exactly right.
And as it relates to Mayweather, wait. So what's going on with the Tyson fight? Remember that?
Oh my God, that's right. That is crazy. That's right.
I'm like, well, what are we doing here?
That's right. What are we doing here? It's just like, come on.
I always said to people that in 2017, everyone was so excited against Mayweather-McGregor. And I said, okay, I get it. It's about money. But I said, beware of the slippery slope. What we are seeing now is that slippery slope.
Oh, we're sliding, baby.
Oh, absolutely. Here's one from Eric Haynes. Would Mario rather be trapped in the cage against Khabib Nurmagomedov or trapped in the ring with Triple G? That's like, what would you rather have? Gonorrhea or syphilis?
Well, exactly.
Neither's good.
You want to get knocked out or choked out?
Right.
They both are going to suck.
What's worse, though, in your view? You've done both. What's worse?
Getting knocked out. Because,
really?
Well, yeah, you can always tap if you're getting choked out.
But let's say there is no tapping.
What do you mean there's no tapping? It's a sport.
Yeah,
it's not death to the death.
Well,
it's a sport.
Rudy Hernandez.
That's the one thing about jiu-jitsu and the one thing about MMA. They get you. You're about to break your arm. Whatever. You can be bold and try to fight through it, but or you.
So
can
you're
just
saying
tap.
if we go by the rules, if the rules of
course
MMA,
you're going to go by. What is it? A street fight?
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
Well, no, if we go by the rules, then much better.
1200s.
It's much. Yeah, exactly. Much better to get.
We're not doing Street
tapped.
Fighter.
Yeah, you might want to get tapped out better than getting knocked. There's no tapping out in boxing.
Rudy Hernandez once said, Steve, you know what's funny? Because I'd rather get knocked out cold than lose a 10-round decision where you get beat up. I go, really? He goes, yeah, Steve, you don't even feel a thing.
Yeah, you're right.
He's right. You just wake up.
I don't want that big corkscrew punch from
right to the side
right there. Oh God, you've been feeling that for a while.
Here's one from David. Mario, rumor has it Anthony Joshua is going to train with Team Usyk. This move invokes Rocky training with Apollo. It invokes Rocky training in the Russian snow. I can almost hear the Rocky IV soundtrack as I type. But the question is,
hearts on fire.
Does it help AJ beat Tyson Fury?
I think at this point in your career, you are who you are. You could get reinvigorated, have a little fire, maybe add a wrinkle or two. But once you start in there in the heat of battle, you are who you are. But psychologically, it might help. The thing about AJ, he's always had all the faculties. It just seems that sometimes his head's not there.
His chin's let him down, too.
And his chin is let him. Yes, I believe that, though, was a result of maybe not being, not that he's not prepared, maybe a lack of certain focus or concentration. But you're right. But he can also crack, too. It's one of those, I got to get him before he gets me kind of thing.
Yeah, and by the way, when Rocky trained with Apollo, it was in Rocky 3. It was not 4. It was out in L.A. in what was the dingiest, dirtiest looking gym ever. Like, I know they wanted to give it that street feel. We've been to a lot of gyms. They don't all look like Brick House, but none of them look like that. Yeah, remember when they all...
I've been to somewhere they do
look
like that.
No, but LA does now.
Well, some of it. But that gym was located right on Skid Row.
Yeah.
But I love the scene. To this day, people say, have you ever seen a fixed race? And I said, yeah, when Apollo Creed let Rocky Balboa beat him in a 100-yard dash.
With the half shirts,
The half shirt.
and they frolicked in the ocean.
But I love the way they celebrate.
Dana's favorite Rocky 3.
Oh, he's so
remember?
wrong about that. Anyway,
Strong second.
Here's one from It's Gabe. With all this talk about Dana White, new boxing program, don't fighters have a choice whether to join TKO or staying with conventional boxing?
Yes.
Will they be able to fight in both if they wanted? So that's the question. And let me just say this about the Ali Act. Dana's made it clear, and everyone's made it clear, and I've talked to managers about this who are interested in both. It depends on horses for courses, right? Mm-hmm. If you want to have that umbrella of the Ali Act, guess what? Nobody is forcing anyone to go to TKO. When this thing first started, I'll admit, when I first heard it, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Why are you changing the Ali Act? Then it became like, well, you have a choice. Well, now I don't care.
Right.
Choose what you want.
Then it's on you.
Yeah,
That's
and live with the
exactly
parameters of the deal.
Sure.
But I do, look, what I do not want to see in boxing is more division. If it's just going to create another lane where everyone stays within their own lines, I do think that's an issue. However, if TKO can create a system where the mid-level fighters can earn an honest living and then make some money and fight and really develop their skills, that's a good thing. The problem is, let's say one guy gets really spit-shined, right? He's like, wow, he's really developed in 18 months. And he wants to fight other guys from the PBC or Top Rank or Golden Boy. I would hope that he's not restricted by TKO. I think that is a legitimate fear.
I think it's a concern, but I also think that no one's going to have the resources and the money behind them.
Yeah.
Like the Zufas, that Saudi Arabian money's next level. So I think eventually their plan is to sort of swallow everyone, too. Remains to be seen.
And by the way, again, fighters have a choice. Do they not have to join TKO? So all this talk of a monopoly, that may be true in 10 years. It's not true in 2025. Here's one from Sanch. Ask that San Diego Dodger fan, Mario Lopez, since he is too Hollywood to come to fill trainees even with an invite from Michael Thompson, was Yamamoto's World Series MVP performance the best in LA sports history in terms of championship runs?
First of all, I've been in LA for 42 years now, which is the crazy thing.
That's like calling me Korean.
Yeah, and my kids are born here and the whole deal, and I live 15 minutes from Chavez Ravine. And I love Phil trainees, and I love Phil. Problem is, you go during the middle of the week. Yeah, some of us have to get up super early.
You got to do it Friday.
And God told you. Hit
he
me
still
up.
has Chilean sea bass.
I know. That's been there for like 30 years now.
It's the best.
Hit me on a Friday or Saturday, and then we'll do it one of these days. What was the question?
Yamamoto. Is it the best championship run for an LA athlete?
His performance from a pitching perspective, yes, is the answer. Dude went on no days rest. No days rest. This team, as I'm wearing this shirt, as my voice is still hoarse from yelling right there, was so incredibly impressive because the irony is they didn't play their best. As a matter of fact, it seemed like they were outplayed in pretty much every aspect of the game, but they were clutch when they needed to be, and they rose to the occasion when they needed to be. What's that saying by John Wooden? I'm going to mess it up. Something like, great players need to be great when the moment calls for it, or there's something.
He called it competitive greatness.
Somebody needs, essentially you need to rise to the occasion when the moment calls for it, and that's what the Dodgers did. And a tip of the hat to Doc, man, to Dave Roberts, who people are always saying this or that about him with his questionable decisions. Because of him and the choices he made, putting my boy Miguel Rojas in there, Bajes out there defensively, we won those games. We would have never won game 6.
Managing still matters, right?
Absolutely. Dude, we've got 3 World Series in the last 6 years. Should have 4 with those cheaters, Houston Astros. That's a dynasty. In baseball, you know how hard that is to do. Yeah. That is incredible. But to take it to game 7 and to come from behind, and we had to win 2 in a row. I was at game 5. I was like, ooh, this is going to be tough. I don't know. It was just, and then the unsung heroes. That's another thing. A-Rod had a great quote. He's turned out to be a great broadcaster, by the way. Yeah. Derek Jeter, a little salty all the time, but Alex Rodriguez turned out to be a great broadcaster. That's another doc we have to check out. And he said this, and it made a lot of sense. He goes, in your other traditional sports, football, basketball, hockey, you design the play for who's going to be the hero. He goes, not in baseball. The ball decides who's going to have the moment. And that's the thing about the Dodgers. The unsung heroes were Miguel Rojas, Bajes, Yamamoto coming back to back. That's awesome.
Now,
man. That's
Rojas
cinema.
is the one who hit the home run in Game 7, right?
Yes, but
All
more
right.
importantly, he made the two defensive
right.
plays that when Kike caught that and he made that incredible catch, and then the one that fired home where Will Smith was just like an inch almost off the plate. Then he ended up getting back on before they slid home. Both of those games would have been over.
Here's a question. What's a bigger home run in Dodger lore? That one or Kirk Gibson, Game 188?
Well, Kirk Gibson.
Game 1. Remember, that was Game 1.
I know. Kirk Gibson was a walk-off, right?
Yes.
I would even put...
And it
that
almost
what's more-
basically won the series in
right.
Game 1.
The only thing I would like... That one's still bigger, I think. But Rojas... Yes, because Rojas tied the game. Didn't win the game.
But it was an
tied game.
elimination game,
It's
though.
true. It's true. It tied the game, and then
In
Will
the
Smith
last
came.
inning,
I would
I
even put Freddie Freeman's 2 outs when bases loaded when he hit the grand slam. In fact, last year's series is more those. That's on the level of but they're all there. Those are the Mount Rushmores of most important home runs. But dude, Yamamoto might be the most impressive since Pedro Martinez. I don't think I've seen someone more impressive pitching out there. And bro, let me talk about your boy Shohei Ohtani, my neighbor who lives around the block. We already generated $1 billion in revenue this year. First team to do so. That's his whole contract right there. So by those standards, he's underpaid.
He's underpaid.
The
He
dude
is.
got on base 9 times in one game. 9 times.
That'll never be matched.
Never. And he was hitting. He batted beautifully this whole postseason, and to go on barely 3 days rest after the 18 innings to pitch again. They should have got him out just right after the second. They made the last game a lot harder. They would have, because you saw he was laboring. Then he got touched a little in the third, but then he came back. I cannot say enough about that guy. That whole team is just an incredible.
Just a
awesome
scrappy
team.
bunch of underdogs, man. Just overcoming the odds.
Hey, listen, though, a lot of those guys, look, the Mets, Toronto, Yankees, all those guys almost spend like $1 billion.
Toronto is going to relive that 18-inning
man.
game because that was the one you're thinking, wow.
Tip of the hat to them. I even posted about it. That's a class act organization because Vesia, who is going through some personal problems with his, or issues, I should say, with the wife and the baby and the whole deal, they put the number of his jersey on their hats. I thought that was a very classy, cool thing to do.
Now, is the expectation the Dodgers to three-peat, right? They have to be. They're the evil empire. They have to be. That is the standard.
You know how hard it is.
No, but that is the standard now.
I guess every year you can go, look, they've won the division 12 out of the last 13 years. Isn't that crazy? Just to think about it. But it was so, the games with the Brewers were so tight. The Philly was so tight. This one all the way down to Game 7. It's so tough to do, but we're getting all our pitchers back.
Yeah.
If everyone's
that is
healthy.
the expectation. The Dodgers are now like the Yankees of the 90s during the George Steinbrenner era. Like anything less than a championship will be viewed as a failure. And that is the highest compliment you could pay any organization.
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
It was so much fun to watch. It was so much fun to watch. And the city rallies around. Look, when the Rams won the Super Bowl,
They're the most popular team now. They are.
Of course, they've been the most popular team.
I would say
over the Lakers. The Dodgers have always been.
From about 80 to about 2010-ish.
No,
but it's the Dodgers now the last 10, 15
years. It was always the Dodgers. It's just they're winning more now, so you get to see it now. But it's always been the Dodgers. Look at the way it's. Did you see the damn parade we had? It's been crazy, bro. Like I said, the Rams just won. They didn't say anything like this.
Here's the thing. You lost 25 years of NFL football.
Yeah.
And the Chargers, like no one cares. The Rams,
hey, I care. You're crazy.
You're literally the only Charger fan that I know.
They'll start growing. You're crazy. Again, you're a dick.
Yeah.
Champions are not born. They're forged. Every challenge is an opportunity. Every setback, a lesson. But this is not just about winning. This is about turning the ordinary into the extraordinary and becoming undisputed. Available now.
Final Flurries.
Moving on to Final Flurries. Mario, all I can say is very sad news, and we got to get to this. Rest in peace to a great friend of mine, a man that certainly made an impact in my life, professionally and personally. Victor Conte passed away.
I was friendly with Victor,
after,
too.
Yes, a very tough battle with pancreatic cancer. Back in March, he got the diagnosis, and he tried to fight it. And he died with his loved ones around him in the Bay Area. Truly an American pioneer. He was 75.
75, okay. That's the average age now for a person. And he lived a very full life, was the bass player for Tower Power. Obviously got caught up in the whole Balco situation, became infamous, but then changed his life and then really helped a lot of athletes, a lot of boxers.
Yeah.
And Terrence Crawford included. And
Nonito Donaire.
Yeah, Nonito Donaire goes on. And he was a really nice guy. The times we've had him in here, the times I got to spend with him, he was a really nice guy, incredibly bright and knowledgeable, and just a really good person. So, prayers to him and his family.
Absolutely. He was infamous, and then it was a great story of redemption. He was a lightning rod. Not everyone liked him. He was pugnacious. He was tough. He was not afraid to fight battles. And the one thing about him I always admired, he was not willing to back down.
Mm-hmm.
And he would get into it on social media. I remember after the Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney fight, he flat out said, look, you say what you want. I don't care how popular Ryan Garcia is. I'm going to fight for the truth. And I can honestly say that his memory and his recall and his ability to turn back and go into something like a small piece of information and be meticulous about it, he's probably one of the 3 or 4 most intelligent individuals I have ever met. Also, he's probably the most generous individual that I have ever met.
Very
in the
generous.
way he touched so many lives.
Charitable. He even liked you a little bit.
Yeah. But I'm gonna miss Victor. I'm gonna miss my friend. I was
guy.
supposed to visit him in September. Supposed to visit him, and as they were making the plans, I was told, Steve, I think we need to hold off on this. I had a bad feeling. And he used to text both of us late at night. That was like
All
his
the
office
time.
hours.
Yeah.
Talking about different ideas or general questions. And then when I started getting phone calls saying, Steve, I can't get a return text from Victor, I knew something was going on. And I reached out to him a few times. Last Thursday night, I was given a heads up by Casey Morton, who will now be running Snack. Snack will live on. That legacy will keep moving forward.
Oh, nice. You going to stay with him?
Yes.
Nice.
She is the heartbeat of that company. She said, Steve, I just want to give you a heads up. He's winding down. There's going to be 3 or 4 more days, but he's going to be at peace.
That's the thing, man, is you quickly realize health
It's everything.
Is everything, because if you don't have that, nothing else matters.
Yeah. And Snack's become a big part of my life. I write for the website. I take a Snack product every day. I'm a big believer in it. And you could choose to remember Balco or Snack or both. And I get it. Many people have very different opinions about Victor Conte, but I am glad and I am lucky that he came into my life. That's all I'm going to say.
Very nice.
Mario, per your recommendation now, the HBO on demand for my cable box, for some reason, HBO's not working. It's not available. So I went to Black Rabbit, your other recommendation.
But you got to get that HBO working.
I am. Black Rabbit, after 2 episodes,
you're in.
I'm in.
You got to do 2 a night.
I am going to do 2 tonight.
2 a night. And I believe there's 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And it's not a series. It's a mini series that's going to end.
I don't want to discuss it until you're done.
Oh, okay. But it's good, though. It is good.
So by the time we do the next show, you'll have finished. We'll discuss it. Yes.
Yeah, and also, your Chargers. Is there a voodoo doll on them? They're the most injured team every
year. They're cursed. We won this past Sunday, but we also lost probably our best offensive lineman. And it will definitely.
We had 2 All-Pro tackles. Now you got none for the year.
Yeah, we had Slater and we had Alt. Man, but how does that?
I think it kills the season. I do.
It does, huh?
Because what they want to do with Harbaugh is control the line of scrimmage, be dominant, set up deep play action shots, right? And I think this hurts Herbert.
Of course
it hurts everybody, in fact. And
this is bad. This is
it
bad.
It is. I think it's one of those injuries that I think they'll still win enough games to maybe sneak into the playoffs, but to hoist the Lombardi, I don't see it with those 2 guys out.
Thanks a lot.
I'm just being honest.
Thanks a lot.
Mario, a guy that wins a lot, our boy Bob Baffert.
Bob Baffert, my other neighbor, right there. That's a good neighborhood, huh?
A good neighborhood.
I said a lot of winners. Baffert's a winner. Shohei's a winner. Robert Ory, do you know he lives right there? Too? Yeah. A lot of work. They're all going to come to the bocce. I'm getting to come to the bocce.
Yeah,
things
I'll be there. Bob Baffert told me a funny story at your daughter's Q. I saw him later, and I go, hey, Mr. Baffert. And he's telling me, yeah, it's funny. He goes, we completely forgot about this. Because my wife said, hey, isn't there something tonight we should be at? And he goes, no. So she looks in her phone. He goes, oh, it's Gia's Q. She goes, oh, God, we got to get dressed. Nice guy, though.
It's a very nice guy. Very nice guy. Legend. Face of the sport. He had a nice little victory with his fillies and mares over in the Breeders' Cup. It's a fascinating world.
Yeah.
We're working on a documentary with him, so I've learned a lot. It's crazy over there.
And Mario, right now as we tape on the first Monday of November, 4:51, it's probably pitch black. Are you a fan of daylight savings?
So, no, I'm not. I worked all weekend. So I didn't get to really take advantage of the quote extra hour of sleep. They just added an extra hour of work, which sucked. But this is the one where we get to catch up, right?
Yeah. I mean,
but I don't like it. Well, yeah, because you're gonna fall back, so theoretically.
But
right,
I
you get
wake
an
up
extra hour.
early anyway. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I used to not. Remember, I used to break your balls. Used to not wake up.
You make it sound like I woke up at noon.
You did. You did used to wake 11 a.m. noon. You did.
GTFOH with that. GTFOH with that.
But we used to do it for the farmers, and every year they say they're going to get rid of it.
Let me ask you: is it actually necessary now, though?
No, it is not. I just think
why are we doing it then?
They vote for it, and then it just never happens.
Yeah, like we voted to get rid of it a bunch, but for some reason they won't do it. There's certain senators who keep saying that certain areas of the country would be in darkness at like 3 p.m. and that's not good, so they have to switch it for like the mental health of people. But
oh God!
I'm sorry. Like at this
out.
point, like it's got to end.
Now, aren't there?
And here's the thing. Okay, we've got our Pacific Standard Time.
Right.
Then you've got. It's not Central. What's the one? Mountain. They don't change. Did you know that?
Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
Mountain doesn't change. So everybody's Mountain. We want to be like Mountain.
Yeah.
So Mountain doesn't change. That falls like in Arizona. And then you get into the Central, and then of course the Eastern Standard Time. But we should all take a page out of Mountains. Mountains are the only ones that are living life right.
I love it when it comes to April when it comes back.
Oh, bro, then it's light till like almost 10 p.m. out here in California.
Right. It's like you look out, it's like 6 o'clock, and you're like, look at all that sunlight. It's the best feeling in the world. It's warmer.
Yes, we're going to be playing bocce late.
Oh, it's going to be good. Mario, programming reminder for all our fine fans. Next week, we may or may not do a show, or we might do it a little later in the week. Where are you going?
I am going D.C., our nation's capital.
Oh.
Got to do a little workout.
Business, work,
yeah, business,
personal?
Business. No, business.
Okay, it's always business with you.
So I don't travel unless it is.
All right. Anyway, that's it for this week's edition of the 3 Knockdown Rule. Again, if you want to sponsor our show, email us at info@boxbid.io. On behalf of Mario Lopez and Smoke and Tim Frazier, this is Steve Kim saying till next week or not, goodbye, everybody.